Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are doing well. Let us continue our discussion related to the question and answers for environmental management. So let's continue with the next question. Define the ecology and the ecosystem. So ecology is basically a study of the relationship between the living organisms, including humans and their physical environment, and it seeks to understand the vital connection between the plants and animals and the world around them. And the ecosystem is a geographical area where plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as weather and landscapes, work together to form a bubble of life. And ecosystems contain biotic or living parts as well as abiotic factors or non living parts. So, biotic factors include plants, animals, and other organisms as well. So, next question is about what is the difference between impacts as bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So, bioaccumulation refers to the gradual accumulation of the substances such as pesticides or other chemicals in the living organisms. But biomagnification, on the other hand, refers to the concentration of any toxic chemical in the tissues of the tolerant organisms at the successively higher levels in the food chain. Very important, food chain. So successively higher level in the food chain actually. Next question is about what are the effects of the habitat destructions. So habitat destructions also can be termed as habitat loss or habitat reductions, is a process by which a natural habitat becomes incapable of supporting its native species. So activities such as harvesting natural resources, industrial production, and importantly urbanizations are human contributions to habitat destructions. So the primary effect of habitat destruction is a reduction in biodiversity, and which will refer to the variety and abundance of the different species of animals and plants in the particular setting. So when an animal loses the natural home or habitat that it needs to survive, so its number declined rapidly and it moves towards the extinction of its species. Next question is about what is the deforestation and its impacts. So deforestation refers to the decrease in the forest land or forest areas across the world that are lost for other uses such as we can say agriculture, croplands, urbanization, or for mining activities. So this is called deforestation, and it can lead to the loss to, or we can say negative impacts to the natural ecosystem, biodiversity, and the climate. Next is about what is the desertification and its impact. So desertification is a kind of land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid areas, collectively known as drylands. So resulting from many factors including human activities and climatic variations. So desertification leads to loss of biodiversity by worsening the living conditions of many species. So food insecurity due to the crop failures and reducing the yields. So thus the loss of vegetation cover and therefore of food for livestock or the humans as well. Next is about what is the soil erosion and its impacts. So soil erosion basically a gradual process that occurs when any impact of water or wind detaching and removing the soil particles and causing the soil to deteriorate. So soil deterioration and low water quality due to the erosion and surface runoff have become very severe problem worldwide. So soil erosion occurs primarily when dirt is left exposed to strong winds, hard rains, and flowing water. So in some cases, human activities, especially farming and land clearing, leave soil vulnerable to the erosion process actually. So some of the greatest effects of soil erosion includes loss of the topsoil, soil compactions, reducing organic and fertile matter, poor drainage system, soil acidity levels, long-term erosion, water pollution. These are certain effects of the soil erosion. Next is about what is the invasive species. Invasive species can be any kind of living organism. For an example, amphibians like cane toad, plants, insects, fishes, fungus, bacteria, even an organism, seeds or eggs that is not native to an ecosystem and which will be causing harm as well. So they can harm the environment and economy or even human health as well. These are called invasive species. Next is about what is the meaning of endangered species. So endangered species is a species that is very likely to become extinct in the near future, either worldwide or in a particular political jurisdiction. And endangered species may be at risk because of certain factors such as habitat loss, poaching, and invasive species actually. Invasive. Next question is about what are the 7 principles of the environmental management. So there are 7 different principles related to the environmental management, like polluter pays principle, user pays principle, the principle of effectiveness and efficiency, the principle of participation, principle of responsibility, precautionary principle, and the principle of proportionality actually. So let's start some of the discussion related to the principles of environmental management. First one is about polluter pays principle. So according to polluter pays principle, this is a kind of commonly accepted practice that those who produce the pollution should bear the cost of managing it to prevent damage to the human health and environment. So the polluter pays principle helping us to recognize the true cost of the things actually. So externalities are the cost of producing goods that are paid by someone other than the producer and consumers of the goods actually. So what is the next principle is user pays principle. It's considered as a part of polluter pays principle or PPP, and the principle states that all resource users should pay the full long run marginal cost of the use of a resource and related services, so including, we can say, any associated treatment cost, and it's applied when resources are being used and consumed. So the user pays principle is a variation of the polluter pays principle that calls upon the user of a natural resource to bear the cost of running down the natural capital. Next is about what is the principle of effectiveness and efficiency. So it's essential that efficiency of resources use may also be accomplished by the use of policy instruments which can create incentive to the minimizing wasteful uses, and it also applies to various issues of environmental governance by streamlining the processes and produces in order to minimize the environmental cost. So we can say effectiveness is about doing the right things and efficiency is about the doing things in a right manner. Next question is about what is the objective of the precautionary principle. So the main objective of the precautionary principle is to ensure that a substance or any activity posing a threat to the environment is prevented from adversely affecting the environment, and even if there is no conclusive scientific proof of linking that particular substance or activity to environmental damage. So the word substance or activity are the result of human interventions. Next is about what is the principle of participation. So it's the duty of all persons to participate in collectively environmental decision making activities. Some participation areas are related to the use of trees, plants, minerals, soils, fishes and wildlife for purpose such as we can say materials and food, as well as consumptive and non-consumptive recreations. Now second issue concerns related to the solid waste, which is like we can say garbage, construction, demolition materials and chemically hazardous waste. And third issue of participation is related to the pollution generating activity. Next principle is about principle of proportionality. So principle of proportionality is based on the concept of balance. So balance to maintain between the economic development as well as on the other hand environmental protection on the other hand. So what is the principle of responsibility? So it's the responsibility of all people, organizations and states to maintain the ecological processes, and we can say further access to environmental resources carries attendant responsibilities to use them in the ecological, sustainable, economically efficient and socially fair manner. Next is about what are the internal and external issues affecting the environmental management. So for an example, external issues like culture, social, political, regulatory, financial, economic, natural, competitive issues, whether international, national, regional or local. Internal issues like we can say organizational activities, products, services, strategic directions, okay, and capabilities of the people actually. Next, we can talk about the internal and external interested parties related to the environmental management. So we can say internal parties like top management, board of directors, suppliers, contractors and subcontractors, management team, workers and unions. So think about external parties like regulatory bodies, legislations and media houses, shareholders, communities, consumers and special interest groups. So these are coming under the external interested parties actually. Next question is about what are the reasons for improving environmental and social performance. So there can be three main reasons for improving environmental and social performance. First one is moral, second legal, and third one is economic. So moral reasons like differing global community attitudes to the value of the environment, the need to prevent and minimize the impact of organizational activities on the environment, applying the precautionary principles and the sustainability drivers. But when we talk about the legal reasons, like we need to strictly adhere with the and comply with the local legislations, relevant legislation and interested international treaties actually. And third one is about uh, economic reasons. We can say polluter pays principles, cost associated with the environmental incidents like legal costs, fines, sanctions, cleanup costs, remediation works, and we can say the business case of the good environmental management, supply chain pressures, corporate social responsibility, and cost saving. So, thank you very much, friends, for now. We will continue our discussion from the next discussion. Thank you.